I've got 1 o'clock as well.
Okay. We'll go ahead and start with the housekeeping remarks from myself. Thank you all for joining the Washtenaw County Board of County Road Commissioners for our April the 21st virtual board meeting. Before we start the meeting, there are a few housekeeping items I'd like to cover. Number one, if you'd like to make a public comment during this meeting, we will prompt you at the appropriate time in the agenda to virtually raise your hand. If you are viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants button at the bottom of your screen, and then the Raise Hand button at the bottom right corner of your screen. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, you can virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. Once we get to the public comment section on the agenda, we will unmute participants with raised hands one at a time. The chat feature on this Zoom meeting is available only as a technical support for users on their computers or smartphones. If you are experiencing technical issues with audio or video during this meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our systems administrator will help you troubleshoot the problem. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded. A link to the video will be posted to the wcroads.org website in the coming days. During today's meetings, all votes will be by roll call. Today's meeting agenda is posted on wcroads.org, and there is a link available in the chat if you are joining us from your computer. At this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And with that, I'll need a roll call for attendance. And I am Doug Fuller, Commissioner. Vice Chair Barb Fuller, are you there?
Present.
Thank
Present.
you. That's fine. Rod Green, Commissioner, are you there?
I am here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Managing Director Siddle. Cheryl, you there?
I am here as well.
Oh, goody. County Engineer Matt McDonnell. You there, Matt?
Wave.
Well, Matt?
Yes, sorry, I had to be unmuted.
That's all right. Jim Harmon, Director of Operations. You there, Jim?
Present.
And Director of Finance, Mr. Ackerman.
I'm here.
Wonderful. We're all here and present. It is our standard practice to begin our board meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Since we are hosting this meeting virtually today, instead we will start the meeting with a moment of silence to honor all those helping to battle the coronavirus and for those who have been killed by this terrible disease. Thank you. Now I would really like to have a motion on the agenda. Could someone make that motion for me, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move adoption of the agenda as presented.
Support.
Thank you both. The chair, that's myself, votes in favor of that motion. Barb Fuller, Vice Chair,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Thank you. We have an agenda. Now I'd like to have a motion on the minutes of April the 7th. Could I have that motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move acceptance of the board meeting minutes of April 7th, 2020 as presented.
I support.
Very good. Myself votes in favor of that motion. Commissioner Fuller,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
we have accepted the minutes. And this is the time set aside on our agenda to receive comments from the public. Even in this format, it is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person that is recognized will have 3 minutes to address the board. Emily, do we have people that would like to address us?
We do have one member of the public who is here, but I'd like to just go through the procedures of how to do it just really quickly. If you would like to make comment during this time, we ask that you virtually raise your hand, and you can do that on your touchtone phone by dialing *9, or if you're on your computer, you can do that by clicking participants at the bottom, and then at the right hand corner you'll see a raise hand button. And at this time, Doug, nobody has raised their hand.
Okay, thank you. And from written communications, I'd like to go to, or excuse me, from public comment, I would like to go to written communications, which starts in your board packet on page 14 and goes through page 19. Did any of the commissioners have any comments about any of the written communications?
No, I do not.
No. I have none.
Okay. Staff members? Like to comment on written communications?
None.
Wonderful. Okay, at that point, I need to ask for commissioner or staff comments to public comment, of which I heard none. Are my fellow commissioners content to move on with the rest of the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to have a motion on the consent agenda, starting on page 20 in your booklet.
Mr. Chairman, I move adoption of the consent agenda for items 1 through 9 as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. The chair votes in favor of the adoption of that motion. Commissioner Fuller, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
we have adopted the consent agenda, and I thank you. At which point we will go on to commissioner reports. I think I heard Ruth Ann earlier say she did not have one, but I'll ask the question again. Ruth Ann, did you have anything you'd like to comment on?
Oh, wait a minute. Just a minute.
You're good.
Okay. I really don't have anything to say today. I think it's, we'll just let it go.
Fine. Thank you, Ruth Ann. How about road commissioners' reports in that case? Commissioner Fuller.
On April 14th, I attended the first virtual meeting of the Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation Commission. We had an update on the Stabler Farm multi-purpose building, and there was consensus that there needs to be inclusion of environmentally sustainable features in that design. The architects are going to take that into consideration and report back to us at a future time. We anticipate an update at our May meeting on the YMCA's feasibility study with respect to the East Side Rec Center. And then overall, we had a fairly lengthy discussion about the impact of the stay-at-home order and what that might mean for our summer season of programming and staffing and the fiscal impact, much the same as the Road Commission is looking at. And our staff on the Park Commission side is putting together a couple of different scenarios. One, where things are open again and fully functioning. Two, where the stay-at-home order is in place and we have virtually no staffed programming at the parks. And then the potential fiscal impact of having no patrons at the parks over the summer, which, as you know, is our bread and butter for recreational programming. That's all.
Barb, I've got a question, a couple of them actually. Has there been, and I'm sure there has been, could you summarize whatever conversation's been going on about the likelihood of Pierce Lake Golf Course being busy?
Pierce Lake Golf Course, I believe the governor has indicated that people are allowed to be golfing, but what we are likely not going to do is have the concession open so that people will be able to walk the course. We won't be renting out golf carts because of the social distancing problem with 2 people in a golf cart. And we just purchased a whole fleet of new golf carts. So they're going to sit in the wrapper one more season, potentially, it seems. But that's the plan at this time, that the course would be open. I'm not quite sure how the fee exchange will occur, but that the concession area would be closed. So people would need to bring their own refreshments and not rely on being able to purchase lunch or snacks at the concession stand.
Doesn't the golf course also sell beer and wine?
At the concession stand.
Which is going to be closed.
Which will be closed, yes, unless there is a total relaxation of the social distancing executive order.
And I'm sure other people have thought about it, but I was thinking if social distancing is the thing concerning golf carts, just require every single person to rent a golf cart, so you don't have 2 in a cart.
Well, potentially so, but you still have to have staff that rent them out and check them in and clean them. And I mean, so it's not quite as simple. No disrespect, Doug, but sanitizing golf carts and keeping people one to a car, I mean, it just,
oh yeah,
the ripple effect is kind of mind-boggling.
Yep.
Right, Cheryl?
Commissioner Fuller, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let you know that Commissioner Schenk is here and would like to make a report when you see fit.
Okay, fine. I had one more question for Barb, which is the May meeting for the Parks and Rec is what date? Off the top of your head? This is not a check. I'm just curious.
Let me pull my calendar. It's the second Tuesday, 12th, the 12th of May at 2 p.m.
At 2 p.m. Thank you.
And it's conducted using Zoom as well.
All righty. We'll finish commissioner comments and then we'll go back to Commissioner Schenk. Barb, did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Commissioner Green.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday I had an opportunity to join you and Vice Chair Barb Fuller in the discussion with the Dexter Township Road projects. I thought it was a very good meeting. As well, on Thursday, I plan to be joining a virtual meeting of SimCog.
Okay.
So I'll let you know how that turns out. This will be our first executive committee meeting by virtuality.
Yeah, I like that. I like that verb. Anything else, Rod?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Just a point of clarification, Commissioner Green noted that we met with Dexter Township yesterday. That was a virtual meeting as well, just to be clear.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner
Certainly
Fuller.
will. We'll drop back now. Commissioner Schenk, did you have something you'd like to share with us?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to let you know a general report on the county. The county is continuing to work to protect our residents. In a sense, all hands have been on deck these past few weeks to provide as many basic services as possible, as well as distributing supplies such as masks and hand sanitizer to people who need to stay safe. We are currently in the process of working on a plan to reopen those services that have been shut down or just been conducting remotely. I have to express quite a bit of admiration to the Road Commission for continuing to engage in your road work at the time when it's difficult to get almost anything done. I noticed the boom mowing on Getty's when I was delivering supplies in Superior Township, and I just want to ask the Road Commission to please stress the importance of not damaging those older trees. When they get nicked, they die, and it seems better. I just hope that the operators will continue to try their best not to do that, and then not boom mow, but not to nick the trees. And then also, if any of you are interested, the health department is asking community leaders to make very short video selfies of themselves being safe and advocating for people staying home and staying safe. And so if you are interested in that, I can get you the information that you need to create a video that would then be shared with the community in an effort to get people to stay home and stay safe. So thank you, that's all.
Commissioner, I have a question while you're there.
Yes.
Number one, I'd like to echo the comments that I heard our managing director say the other day about the leadership and the effectiveness of the county throughout so far this particular episode in our history. I had a question, and this is personal, but since we're all commissioners here, could you give us even 30 seconds on what specifically the county is doing to help the homeless portion of our population during this particular episode? And if you
Sure.
don't feel
No, it's fine. We are doing a lot. Quite frankly, I don't know that it's going to be enough, and so we're continually trying to figure out how to do more. The Red Roof Inn on Plymouth Road has 2 floors reserved, and so people who need to be quarantined have been going there, and other people who particularly need to be kept safe and who consent to being kept safe are going there. There have been additional churches secured so that people are able to space out and stay at least 6 feet apart. And so that work is ongoing. There's another hotel, the Baymont Inn, I believe, that has been reserved, and I don't know that people are being housed there, and I'm not sure why. That's on one of my follow-up point lists to try to find out that. And I know that there's been more work going in lately to try to address the needs of families without homes so that they can be more secure during this time.
That's
And
impressive.
oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I just say I'm impressed. Thank you. What else? You want to share something else?
Yes, not this Thursday, but in 2 weeks, Teresa Gelati of OCAD, Trish Cortez of CMH, and Jimena Lovelock of the Health Department are going to be giving an update at our working session. So I'm not sure exactly what the date is, and we're going to try to publicize that a lot. They're going to be giving updates on all the things they've been doing during the crisis.
Oh, wonderful. I'm going to put in one minor plug for my own church, which is the Episcopal Church in Ann Arbor on Division Street, that is continuing its breakfast program for everybody who shows up 7 days a week, no matter who or no matter what their housing status is. But thank you for that update, Commissioner. That was very helpful.
Well, thank you. And your church goes above and beyond in terms of serving the community. I've been there on a number of occasions for community events, and so I'll just thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I think we've exhausted commissioner reports. Could we move on to the managing director's report? Cheryl?
Sure thing. The staff report is in your board packets, I believe starting on page 34. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have there. I won't repeat a lot of what I said at the working session, although I will share, since we have Commissioner Schenk on the call, as well as Commissioner Jamnick from this morning. Again, I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners for approving the ballot language for the renew and restore on the 4-year county road and non-motorized millage. We are very grateful. And it's going to be moving ahead full throttle on our part with both the education and then providing information for the advocacy portion of that. We're very excited, though, to have the opportunity to do that. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. And to echo what the chair had said earlier, we have certainly been interacting with county staff on a number of levels throughout this pandemic. And just kudos to all of your staff. They have been absolutely phenomenal. They have provided excellent leadership, amazingly responsive. Jim and I were just talking this morning with everything else that is going on. They have been very responsive to the little questions that we have, you know, from the road commission, when they've certainly got bigger issues that are out there. In particular, I know that Cindra James has been wonderful to work with. Teresa Gelati's been wonderful to work with. And in particular, Diane Height has answered every single question that I've had as we've been going through any of this. So thank you to all of them, and to all of you for the support, to all of us within Washtenaw County, but particularly to us at the Road Commission as we're all trying to navigate this together. So it has been much appreciated, and proud to be a part of this county at this time. So with that, I'd be more than happy to hand it over to the directors. Jim, do you want to start?
Sure, thank you. Pages 32 through 36 reveal the essential tasks and duties that the operations department has performed over this last period. Actively working with our townships on agreement development for the 2020 local road program, seeing tremendous partnership emerging through those conversations and that hard work. We are underway with our primary road projects. We started 8 Mile Road between Tower Road and Pontiac Trail this week. That is a county millage funded asphalt pulverization and resurfacing project. So that's underway. Also partnering with our engineering department, the haul road improvement on Pleasant Lake that our engineering staff had secured with Michigan Paving Stone Co. That work is underway on Pleasant Lake Road. Mike Burnback, my department, is assisting with that. That is a mill and resurfacing project between Zeeb and Steinbaugh Road. And here later this year, that'll be complemented with a county millage funded project on Zeeb Road, or on Pleasant Lake Road from Zeeb to Ann Arbor-Saline Road. So lots of activity along that important corridor central to our county. And then I'll report another major project that's intended to start next week is Willis Road between Bunton and Rawsonville. Again, that's a county millage funded project. That's asphalt pulverization and resurfacing job. So we are well underway working with our contractor and its subs to fulfill those obligations for this year. And development continues on our 2020 Seal Coat program. That's currently 105 miles of county primary road. That'll probably increase slightly in partnership with some of our townships on local road seal coating. And we also are preparing for our primary road limestone gravel. We have approximately 6 miles of gravel resurfacing. That'll include ditching, roadside berm removal, trimming, and some much needed upgrades on those important unpaved primary corridors as well. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have of me or regarding the operations department. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Quick general question, Jim. When do we anticipate starting with the dust control on primary roads?
We had initially intended this week, but the weather has been kind, and that'll probably get underway next week, Mr. Chair.
And I interrupted somebody. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. An update, please, on the Ann Arbor, Saline, Wagner Road project, that roundabout project. Do I have the right coordinates?
That it, the
Yeah,
Ann Arbor Saline, go ahead.
No, I was gonna
Oh,
hand it.
is that a Matt question?
It
Yeah.
is.
Okay, fine.
That's okay.
I withdraw the question.
No, projects are handled by both our operations and our engineering department, and it's not always clear who's handling what. So we'll be happy to answer that. If you have any more questions,
Okay.
take those, or we can certainly hand it over to at this time. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, so the Ann Arbor Saline Wagner, that's one of our active projects that has a road closure and posted detour. That project is continuing to progress. In fact, we anticipate pouring curb this week, so we're wrapping up the underground construction and working to grade the aggregate. The curb will be the next point that gets done. Then we'll move on to preparing the aggregate for the concrete pavement. And obviously, when we're dealing with concrete, there's some cure time involved with that as well, so that will be factored into the critical path of getting that intersection reopened. And then we'll be coordinating with our operations department and their contractor for the countywide paving, because they're going to assist in doing the HMA paving necessary to abut the concrete intersection. So work is progressing. Certainly, we appreciate the residents' patience with that. Those that live in the work zone and those that are having to go around and on the posted detour as well.
Matt, could I ask you to clarify the scope of work for that? I know at one point we had explored a roundabout, but could you describe where we landed as far as the type of work being done?
Sure. We looked at and evaluated this intersection. The existing intersection was stop controlled. This is a three-legged intersection. A lot of turning movements, predominantly for folks traveling on Ann Arbor Saline between obviously the urban areas of Pittsfield Township and Saline. And we evaluated a roundabout. We looked at that. We looked at the footprint that would be required to build a roundabout. And given the footprint, the right-of-way impacts, the cost as compared to a signal. And if you know the area, also we have to factor in just to the south at Pleasant Lake at Ann Arbor Saline Road is a traffic signal as well. So we thought for a lot of reasons that the best preferred alternative was a signalized intersection. So the signalized intersection is what we're building. It came with a smaller footprint, a smaller cost, less right-of-way impacts. And certainly there's some, that northeast corner could certainly be viewed as kind of a historical property, and we're not impacting that property at all with the current signal that we're rebuilding, whereas a roundabout, it would have been a lot impactful. So we are building a signalized intersection. We're also going to be upgrading the existing signalized intersection at Pleasant Lake and Ann Arbor Saline, so the two will communicate and talk to one another. So we think it'll function very well and solve the congestion issues that are out there with the existing stop-controlled intersection.
Might be worth pointing out, Matt, that the project as being constructed presently is going to include a bypass lane to go from northbound Ann Arbor Saline onto Ann Arbor Saline.
Yes. So as our chair points out, the northbound traffic will have an auxiliary right turn lane that'll be solely to turn right onto what we'll call northbound Ann Arbor Saline Road. And that movement in itself will very much act like a free flow movement. So that will clear up a lot of the traffic as the signal is progressing through the different phases. And so we felt that with that addition, and also the addition of a center left turn lane for all legs, that will function very well.
Can we move on to Chubb Road in beautiful Salem Township?
Certainly. So that too is progressing. Dan's Excavating is out there and making good headway. Obviously, the weather has been a little bit slowing, but that's to be expected when we're working in the springtime in Michigan. Certainly, there'll be some glorious days, and then revert back to a bit of a cold and rainy weather. But we are making progress. That was one of our active projects as well. As asphalt plants open up, asphalt plants are planned to open up the end of this month, beginning of next. And in fact, we have a large list of projects, and I would reference the working session budget or working session packet, a budget discussion. We have a big list of primary roads that are being accomplished under state and federal funds on page 13 of that packet. And ultimately, that's what we're working to manage with under contracts with through MDOT using state and federal funds. And that amounts to just over $20 million in projects, most of which are in the construction phase. Some of though are working through the design phase, working to obligate this year and build next year, like we talked about at the working session this morning. I'd be happy to answer any questions of ongoing projects that we're looking to begin. I will make mention Carpenter Road, a resurfacing project between Ellsworth and Packard. That one's set to begin. It's very impactful. It's a 5-lane roadway, and we'll be having a virtual public information meeting for construction here this week. And that will be our plans for our very impactful projects, much like Ann Arbor and Wagner. When we're doing a closure of an intersection, we're planning to do a virtual public information meeting where we'll do a presentation and certainly invite the public to attend via our channels, letters, or actually calling. Emily, we have to big thank you to her for calling all the businesses along Carpenter Road to invite them to our virtual public informational meeting, because that will be a very impactful project that is set to get started at the beginning of the month of May.
Back to Chubb Road for just a second. Do we know if the subcontractor for the curb actually got into business of putting in curbs this week?
I have not heard. Much like Ann Arbor and Wagner Road, my guess is that it got delayed slightly, looking towards more the middle to end of the week, maybe tomorrow or latter part of this week. I'll check with Mark, and I'll send you a note here shortly after the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Any other questions on the projects that were included in the packet or set to begin this this upcoming month or so? I will make note that even though schools are no longer in session, there are a lot of moving parts that we gave some consideration on some projects to maybe possibly beginning early. But what we found was we'd just be impacting others that were trying to get started, like 8 Mile or Ann Arbor and Wagner. We have to wait to get that open in order to work on the Textile and Woodland intersection, because that closure utilizes that route. So there's a lot of moving parts. We continue to coordinate both engineering and operations projects along with our permitted work as well. So there's a lot going on, even though we are dealing with this pandemic. Our projects are continuing to move ahead, and our contractors are gearing up for a big construction season.
All right, and we have other questions for Matt. We'll move on to Dan. Want to update us on IT and finance?
Well, I appreciate the discussion on the first quarter budget. And as we mentioned, the next board meeting, we will have the proposed adjustments, including any changes from today to when we provide that to you. We will highlight those at the next board meeting for hopeful approval on that. Besides that, I'm working on finalizing the 2019 Act 51 report. I've not heard that MDOT is providing any extensions on that, so I want to make sure we can meet those deadlines. And believe it or not, the Office of Commission Audits for MDOT decided now is a good time to audit us for our 2018 state trunk line contract. So I'm scrambling to get all that information together to meet their deadlines as well. I would kind of think they would maybe want to delay it, but full steam ahead with that. So I want to make sure that I can comply and provide all the documents that they need. And that's really all I have, unless there's any questions.
All right, well, that's it on the staff end of things.
Do you think, okay, with that, we have gotten to the end of our agenda. So if my fellow commissioners have no further questions for the staff, then I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, I move adjournment.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Again, a roll call vote. The chairman votes yes, the vice chair votes,
Yes.
and the member votes.
Yes.
We are adjourned. And thank you for particularly the IT staff for making all this possible.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good day.